just sharing an experience with you. And after having said that, I'm highly pleased with the average age of this audience, for that is quite unique to be aware that only on the front line there are a couple of grey hats, and that the rest is anyhow talking about family lines. They could be your grandchildren or children. Why am I mentioning that? When I got this portfolio 3 years ago, that was a complete surprise. For it's my second term in office, and my first term in office, I was asked to take the responsibility for competition policy. And competition policy, as you are aware, it is the referee in our economic surrounding. Highly respected by quite a number, feared by other ones. But having said that, when I got this second term in office, it was a complete surprise, and especially for me myself, I didn't have the political color that at that time my government had. So normally spoken, it was not thinkable of. People in the street were just addressing me and were mentioning, it's great that you got the second term in office, but poor you with this portfolio. And I said to my people, please don't react. We have to prove, for in this portfolio, it is absolutely main that we are proving what is at stake. And that is, by the way, the attractiveness of this portfolio. It is close to every citizen. It is connected with the business world, the academic world. It is connected with the citizens. It is connected with policy and politicians. And having said that, it is main that we are in touch. And therefore, I put my prepared speech aside. So apologizes to my people, but let's just discuss and let's try to find a bit of time for questions. For as you are aware, a couple of miles from here, in a couple of hours, there is the meeting of our leaders. And 27 leaders of 27 member states will be gathered. And I can assure you that you can already explain now that it will be a fruitful meeting with a big success, but still a lot to do, and so on and so forth. What is at stake, and if you allow me to say so, and that was the best lesson I ever got at the beginning of this term in office. I visited in the first week an event in Madrid, and it was an event where the European Commission also sponsored a bit, but it was an initiative of private people, and they were backed by the Spanish government and, what I said already, by the European Commission. It was an event of young people, your generation, so to say. The youngest was 14 years old, and the eldest was 30. And it was an event of thousands of people together for a week, the campus party. And the campus party was gathering researchers, innovators, startups, and so on. And with all different nationalities from the European Union. And at a certain moment, I was sitting next to two of those guys who were inventing and who were showing on their screens their invention. And I said to one, you are crazy. You are sharing your invention with your competitor. And he looked at me and he said, you are old-fashioned, madam. And that was exactly what is at stake. And that is the difference between when I had your age and a bit after, and what is at stake now. And when we are talking about Europe, it is just unbelievable what is happening. And therefore, I'm pleased with the Nobel Prize for Peace and with all the discussion, not because we deserve it as a Commission, I can assure you, no. There is peace within the Commission. Well, one of my dear colleagues left, but having said that, it is about the principle of founding fathers, and sometimes small steps, rightly said by you, but with a big implication and a big consequence. 60 years ago, 6 founding fathers, the mothers were at home at that time, and I'm pleased that that is changed in the meantime. But with that step together and to just combine efforts to find a way in taking peace as a main issue for a community and taking into account that you need welfare for getting peace. And that is what I think is a wake-up call with the Nobel Prize today. Having said that, and that is what I'm touching upon within my portfolio, Internet and ICT are so important, but I don't need to explain to you, for our economy. And I can assure you, all the members of parliament in one building across, all the members within the European Commission, all the members of councils a couple of blocks away, they are all aware of the influence of Internet and of ICT. But I'm not certain, and therefore I was just touching upon, anyhow, that lesson for me, that they do have a different mindset, that they are able and willing is even more important than able, for in principle everyone is able. If they are able to think out of the box. And if we are not creative, and if we are not thinking out of the box, I can assure you, we will never ever solve the problem. For we are talking about a challenge of 9 trillion people at a certain moment who want to communicate. When are you communicating? What are you communicating? And who is taking the lead in that? So changing mindsets for me is absolutely crucial. And therefore, I'm absolutely aware that you are our tools. You are the tools, and we need you, because otherwise it will be a failure or it will take too long. And it's great to see a couple of examples that Mr. Bell is just explaining, that it is sometimes that easy. For if you are looking at Taunus, or if you are looking at Nestle, or name it, then you think, my goodness, those people are paid for that. It's so normal. It is just, Mr. Bell make a living out of it. It's great. But and I think that are the best solutions, by the way, who are so familiar with our way of thinking, but we haven't connected yet. And that is what you are doing just on the floor, if you allow me to say so. You are closest to the citizens. That, by the way, is our negative part. And I'm talking about the Commission, if you allow me. So we are just between us, so you don't talk afterwards outside. We are sometimes in an ivory tower. And sometimes there is a wake-up call, indeed. So in my country, at that time, a couple of years ago, when the referendum, and in your country too, when there was a referendum about Europe, and the answer was no, for me, that was the best wake-up call, that we anyhow were not connected with what was at stake. For talking about the Netherlands at that time, how could you ask people to say yes or no when you were offering them a telephone book, for it was a telephone book at that time, and it was with the absolutely wrong wording, for it was talking about the Constitution. Well, if you are touching upon Constitution in the Netherlands, I can assure you that it is really the Holy Grail, so to say. So, and you are asking then yes or no. That is not the issue. And there you need communication tools, but not only at the moment when there is a referendum, but on a daily basis. And that is what is at stake now. And with all those Internet, ICT opportunities, it is great to know that it can be done. But are we enough aware? And just another secret, so to say. You all were aware that at a certain moment ACTA was moving ahead. And we were confronted, also in the Commission, with that movement. And they were powerful, and they were just reaching at the right moment, the right, so to sense. And we were just preparing what was at stake with the ACTA. And we were already feeling that something rotten in the state, that there was something rotten in the state. But at a certain moment, there was an atmosphere in the college where people were saying, it's not fair what they are doing outside. And I started to laugh and I said, come on, just stop dreaming. For even if we can explain what's at stake in our ACTA proposals and that they are misunderstanding it, it is too late to say, you are not fair to us, for we are doing our utmost and so on. And that is not only in this case, but with a lot of cases at stake. If it is a discussion about the future economy, and that for me is the most challenging and most important discussion we are facing at the moment. And I sincerely hope that a couple of blocks further, that will be the main issue. For that is connected with economic growth / jobs. And if you and your generation is not certain, with a decent input from your side, that there is a decent opportunity to get a job, then we are playing with fire, so to say. And not only for you, but for all of us. For the grey ones, and well, I'm not grey, but I can assure you that's artificial, but that with that perspective, that we are not able to give a type of guarantee when you are doing your utmost, that there is a place for you to just add for that economic growth, that we are just creating a lost generation. And that is what is carrying me. That was giving me hope. And that campus party 3 years ago was repeated in Berlin last summer, the last week of August. 10,000 of those youngsters. And again, that same spirit and the same experience. It was great to attend. And that was, in a way, the advantage of a big disadvantage. And they were mentioning it to myself. And they were saying, Neelie, if there was a great opportunity at home to get whatever job, well paid as a civil servant or whatever, then we perhaps wouldn't have had that challenge of being an interventionist and a researcher and a startup. We are in a way forced to take the initiative. If you are not giving us the opportunities, we will take it ourselves. And that is spirit. And that is also spirit in which we could find absolutely our passion and our conviction that you were mentioning upon at the beginning. So I'm looking forward to your help, your food for my thought. I badly need it. And if there is no time anymore, for I'm also in a hurry, I have to go to a separate meeting with the council, with a couple of members of the council, then please send me an email or whatever. So I'm connectable, as it is known, and I am interested in what your ideas are. What your ideas are for Europe. For Europe, that is what we have in common. Let's just take the opportunity to make it even better and even more challenging than it is already. And there are a couple of my people, but my email is well known, and you can just Google me and you will find it. So looking forward to your food. Thanks.